So I'm just going to talk a little bit today about how I've used the land cover data set to look at mapping spatial change in mangrove and salt marsh communities. So this project actually feeds into a larger blue carbon sequestration project that's funded by the Goyder Institute. So initially we looked at the land cover data set and we started off with the most likely layers, which Matt mentioned briefly. And this is the plot that we got from that. The problem with this is that, well, not so much problem, this gave us one single value for the entire state. In terms of my project, I want to look at fine scale changes in mangrove and salt marsh communities. The reason for this is that mangroves can move landward due to sea level rise and decrease on the seaward margin. So this might look like an overall no change in the state. However, we want to see where they're actually moving landward, because this is encroaching on salt marsh habitats, and if these salt marsh habitats can't also move landward, it causes a coastal squeeze because of urbanisation, and so we want to identify these areas where this is happening. So due to this, we decided to go back to the continuous layers and look at the confidence and likelihood layers. So we found that there was quite a bit of variability in these layers, and just this graph is just to illustrate that. So this kind of shows the low frequency of raster cells that have high likelihood and low variance. So we were a bit unsure how to progress with this because there's such a high variance surrounding the values we were getting. So we then decided, this is a bit hard to see, we decided to crop the entire state of raster cells to a high water polygon. So we wanted to get all the cells just in the coastal region. This also helps us negate the effects of where some salt marsh was classified and instead it was actually salt bush that was further inland, and some mangrove misclassification. So we're hoping that this would decrease the variance, increase our confidence value. So that's just, this is Torrens Island. So that just shows you that we're just cropping to this sort of area to decrease the size and hopefully decrease the processing time too. So from this, we still kind of found that there was a high variance. So we're not really sure about how to use this data set for fine scale change. So our next step is we've actually got some aerial photography, and we're going to digitise this photography and look at areas where we know there's change, and then use this as an external validation to validate this land cover data set and see how we can use that. So we're working closely with Matt White in, I think, ARI. So, yeah. And at the moment, you know, we're kind of saying that we can't quite use this yet for fine scale change, and that's sort of our advice to people who want to use this, that there might be some more caveats and things to overcome, and we're going to work closely with them to sort of work out the next steps of how to use this data set for fine scale change. So I just want to acknowledge some of the partners that helped fund this work. Thank you.